have a meeting on Iran, obviously. You know, the success, that was a great success. And blown to pieces, the whole nuclear thing. I would say it's set back permanently. If they were going to do it again, they might as well start in a different location, because that location is totally demolished. They could start, but I would think they'd have to start in a different location. But if they did start, there'd be a problem. We wouldn't allow that to happen.
Mr. President, follow up. Mr. President, Iran has not agreed to inspections. Iran has not agreed to inspections. Iran has not agreed to give up their nuclear enrichment. Is the ceasefire premature?
Well, you're saying they haven't agreed. Let's see what it is. They want to meet with me, so if they haven't agreed, then we're not going to have a very successful meeting.
Mr. President, are you still optimistic?
All right, guys, a couple of things here, man. So Donald Trump is expecting pretty much his boss, right? Acting U.S. President Benjamin Netanyahu is going to land here to speak to Donald Trump and the Oval Office. Who the hell knows? He might be addressing Congress for all we know, all right? Everybody's going to sit there and just, oh my God, Netanyahu, what do you want us to do next, right? So Trump's painting the picture for the American public and everybody. Like, yeah, he's going to come congratulate me about the situation in Iran, what I accomplished, which was absolutely nothing. And, you know, we're going to figure out how we're going to get a ceasefire going in Gaza, right? And everybody who's been following this conflict, guys, knows that that's a load of bullshit, all right? Let's just be honest here. Netanyahu is flying in to tell Trump, hey, we need to go into the second phase of this war. Now, I wholeheartedly don't believe Donald Trump wants to be involved in this war whatsoever. I feel like he's being forced and pressured. And the situation, evidence pointing to the theatrics we saw 2 weeks ago. Okay, that was all theater. It was staged. The Trump administration is trying to avoid the war. They coordinated with the Iranians beforehand. You know, because Trump has all these neocons, these financial elitists, the military-industrial complex, all these warmonger representatives. He has all these people. They're like little vermins, right? They're in his administration, and they're pretty much letting him know, like, hey, this is what we're looking to do. And we can name a few names here. You know, you guys know who they are: Lindsey Graham, Ted Cruz, Rubio, all these clowns, right? John Bolton, and so these guys are scrambling, working as pretty much Mossad agents within the U.S. government, telling Trump, pressuring him, hey, you need to go, we need to conduct this war because we're going to make a lot of money. And Trump's like, what? Okay, but we're going to suffocate the American people. Oh, who gives a fuck about the American people? We don't give a shit. Right? He just slashed 10 million people's health care and added $4 trillion to the fiscal debt. So Trump's like, who gives it? You know, they don't care. So Trump's trying to avoid that situation. And you have a situation where Putin and Xi Jinping, you know, they're rubbing their hands together. They're waiting for this to pop off because this is going to be the official end of the American empire if they get involved in the Middle East. It's going to be total financial collapse. They're going to extract military resources in that entire region, not only just defending Israel and fighting Iran, but defending the Gulf Arabs, which is what I'm going to get into next, guys. So there's been reports, and this is Axios, that today Trump held a secret meeting with the Saudi defense minister to discuss the Iran quote-unquote situation. So this guy flew in. He's the defense minister. I believe he's actually related to bin Salman, the crown prince. So he's actually his brother, I believe. So he flew in before Netanyahu is expected to land on Monday, you know, to discuss the obviously the second phase of the war. We're not believing that this fucking clown's coming here to discuss a ceasefire. He's a psychotic moron. So this guy's flying in because you guys got to understand, Trump's in deep shit with everybody. He's taking money from a bunch of people. This guy's a messy motherfucker. So he just took a bribe from Qatar. He took Saudi money. He took Emirati money. By the way, those three countries are they don't. It's not like they get along or anything like that. They're not all in agreement with each other. So he took all this bribe money And their whole thing is because you gotta understand, like Dubai and these places, Qatar and these countries, guys, they become like known for being one of the safest countries in the entire world, right? You have expats from all over the world investing millions of dollars into these countries. They come, they work. Rich people all over the world, they retire in Dubai. It's become a safe haven. So, the tourism is through the roof. So when Iran launched the missiles on the airbase there, the U.S. base, and you saw the people running into malls and sheltering in place, and that, dude, that is, regardless of there was no damage, but that is completely fucking with people living there psychologically. This is supposed to be a completely safe place. So these people are showering Trump with millions upon trillions of dollars. Hey, shut those fucking clowns in your administration, right? The snakes, the neocons, block them off, cut it off. We want peace here. We know Iran's going to attack our countries because there's U.S. bases there, and they're pretty much paying him because their asses is on the line. If a full-blown war goes out and Iran decides to attack these bases and target other U.S. assets around the region, their countries are going to hell, man. Because first off, they're going to get zero tourism. You're going to get these billionaires who decided to retire in Dubai be like, yo, fuck this place. If it's going to be a war zone, if there's a 1% possibility chance of a rocket or missile misfiring and, killing a bunch of civilians. No, we don't want to. We're out, right? So these guys are shitting bricks. And then you have another situation here with another interesting meetup, right? So the foreign minister of the UAE, Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan, receives Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid. Yair Lapid is the guy he's like the figurehead who's completely in opposition to Netanyahu. Even people are saying that this guy's even to the point where he's even willing to work with Iran. Like, this guy's completely opposed to Netanyahu's regime. They're not opposed to, let's get this straight before people start coming at me, they're not opposed to the genocide in Gaza, but they're completely on the opposite side of Netanyahu. And this guy's flying out to meet the UAE minister. Now, word around town is Netanyahu got frustrated, right? Because regardless of whether you guys want to believe it or not, there's a lot of people in Israel who are spying for Iran and Qatar, and they've been catching these people, even, giving them intel and stuff like that. So Israel's been arresting a bunch of people that are working as double agents simply because they hate the Netanyahu regime and the fact that this guy's literally taking Israel to the abyss. Like, if this goes on like a round 2 with Iran, the entire country is going to collapse. Okay, this has been like, it's kind of, everyone's trying to keep it low key. Like, yeah, don't put the media, there's a media blackout and all this and that. Guys, it's such a tiny country. The entire thing will collapse, right? It'd be the end of what we know, or what some people claim to be as the state of Israel. All right. So we had a situation, guys, where apparently Netanyahu got upset with this guy Yair Lapid because he's flying to the UAE. Again, these people are, like I was saying, they're scared shitless. It's not that they like Trump or they're shitting bricks, because if this war happens, it's going to be very detrimental to their countries. And you got to think too, like, some of these countries are bordering Iran. So if there's a nuclear if there's if they strike the nuclear facilities and there's an outbreak, they can only imagine, right? People won't even be able to go outside. So this guy's flying to the UAE. Obviously, these people are spending they're spending so much money on peace, man. They're trying to just work with anybody, And Netanyahu has, never been to the UAE, even after, make sure I mute the music, man. But yeah, so there's talks now that they're using people in Israel, right, who are completely against the Netanyahu regime, or on the other side, like not necessarily, because there's like the extremists, and then there's the more left leaning. So this guy flies to the UAE, and we get to the part here where Netanyahu. So check this out. So Netanyahu, we see this Lapid's visit as a political interference. You can't invite the opposition leader before you invite the head of state. So Netanyahu's mad he didn't get invited. This guy does, man. Especially after the attack on Iran and the prime minister's decision to strike, we expected different conduct. Apparently, fear of Iran outweighs good judgment. Okay. So, yeah, I want to get to that. So, guys, these people are absolutely scared shitless of Iran. Because it's not so much so that they won't be able to defend themselves, or there's going to be a massive amount of casualties in like the Gulf Arab regions. No, it's not that. It's that their entire countries are dependent on it being completely safe, a safe haven for investors worldwide to come in and invest a lot of money. These guys are doing all the things with the sports. They bought the PGA and all this other shit, and they have UFC and WWE. They pretty much purchasing everything. They're having the World Cup in Saudi Arabia like in 4 years. So they can't have a scenario where the entire world sees them as like an unstable, violent region, or there's a possibility of. So Iran's playing it smart to where they're holding, the absolute safety of some of these countries. They're kind of holding that as like a bargain, to get what they want at the same time, because they paid the Trump administration. They gave them, they promised them trillions of dollars of investments. Hey, just stop this fucking war, right? That's their whole thing, because we don't want people living in there who are retired billionaires and shit to be like, you know what? No, we're going to pack our shit up and go to, I don't know, Bali or some shit. We're not going to live here in Dubai because, and people would do that. I mean, they're paying tons of money to live there, right? So they're like, why do we have to sit here and have to hear, alarm sirens go off because someone launched a missile to one of the bases over here? No, hell no. We don't want to live here. Oh, we're out. Boom. Or investors who are like, especially they're heavily involved in AI. Oh, we're not going to go invest there. It's a war zone, Even if there's a 1% chance of something happening, people will fucking pull their money out. So that's why they bring Trump over here. They showered him with fucking gifts. They treated him. They're like, please, shut these neocons, shut these war hawks, take him out. Tell Netanyahu to go fuck himself. But unfortunately, and what I've been saying, like, everybody's kind of starting to figure it out now. This guy they have him by his ass. All right. They got Trump by his ass. And so if it's a blackmail situation, him, being on Epstein's island, we don't know what the situation, but they have something on Trump to where, they're going to force him to do something. And that's the whole situation, the whole Fordo strike. That was all theatrics, and it was a way for Trump to be like, okay, I did what you guys wanted. I struck the nuclear facilities. They're destroyed. And what you notice is a lot of these people, these same people, the Shylocks, like Trump refers them to, they run a lot of the mainstream media outlets, right? So next day, what they come out with? Oh, the nuclear facilities are not destroyed. They moved the uranium. They're enriching it at 90%. They pulled out of IAEA. So they're putting a lot of different negative propaganda to kind of show Trump like, hey, look, man, yeah, you struck it, but you didn't do anything. So we need you to strike it again. And that's what Netanyahu's coming to flying in to tell him to do. All right. So it's going to be an interesting turn of events here, man. But this is not looking good. You know, because this guy's over here, he's pretty much Trump's being blackmailed by a group of psychopaths, really, right? Because the Israeli regime is literally a group of psychopaths, right? I mean, these people you got to think, like, they've killed 230 journalists, most amount of journalists in any war throughout history. And they'll sit there and tell you, like, oh, well, they were being funded by Qatar or Hamas. So you're dealing with literal psychopaths who are blackmailing this guy and forcing him into a war in the Middle East, which is that'll be the complete financial collapse of America. Okay, because they're already. I mean, it's already bad with his big beautiful shit bill, and now you're gonna have that. Yeah. Yeah, man. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below, man. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.